Well, you know, because of today's smaller engines and larger alternators and cylinder deactivation technology, we have to have these decouplers on some of these alternators. So here to help us understand that today is Rob Lang from Leighton's. And Rob, wow, thanks for being here with us today.
Thanks a lot, Jim.
Tell us about this technology and why we need it and how it works.
Well, you know, going back a few decades, Jim, we had solid pulleys to drive the alternator. You know, it did the job when that technology was definitely in commonplace. Then in the mid-90s, we moved along to the overrunning alternator pulley or one-way clutch, which is like a bicycle with a two-speed sprocket on the back, so it'll freewheel in one direction and lock or drive in the other. Then in the 2000 model year time frame, we at Leighton's come up with a device called the overrunning alternator decoupler, and principally how that part is different is that it has a clutch inside of it as well as a torsion spring, and the torsion spring is what is really fundamentally different between the overrunning alternator pulley and the decoupler. The alternator is driven through the torsion spring connected to a shaft, and then the clutch is connected to the pulley, which transmits the power from the belt.
So I would imagine then as we get a power stroke, right? So this helps to absorb that, and then it freewheels to the next power stroke.
Exactly. It will drive through the spring, sort of like a soft landing of each time the engine fires, so that the belt is calm. So how you would see that in the actual vehicle is the tensioner will be very calm and smooth. The belts will be also very smooth and not fluttering, which would happen if you had a solid pulley on the same vehicle that should have a decoupler.
Well, great. That explains a lot. So what kind of vehicles have these?
Well, Jim, like this Corvette's behind us, this 2005, it would have the device on it, or the alternator pulley on it. You'll also find it on late model Focus, Fusions. The new line of GM pickup trucks that just came out last year also have the decoupler on the alternator, and some of the new domestics or import vehicles from Volkswagen, Toyota, Honda, they also have the part equipped.
Wow, that's quite a list. So if you haven't seen these in your shop yet, you sure will. How long do these last?
Well, Jim, they can last 50, 60,000 miles on the low end in severe duty applications, such as very hot climates where you would run AC, quite a bit of the time, as well as maybe fleet operations. We would see lower mileage on stuff like taxi cabs, that type of thing. Or then on the higher end, over 100,000 miles on the traditional vehicle in the probably the mid states or the upper states.
Okay, great. Well, how do we repair one of these things when it breaks?
Well, it's if you want to bring that alternator over, Jim, it's quite easy. You just insert a pick into the front of the alternator and remove the cap, just like that. And then you would take a impact wrench.
I notice you have a special tool. Where do we get that?
Actually, Jim, the tool is included in the box with advanced auto parts, so it's kind of unique to have the tool included with this device.
Very handy, thank you. All right.
So you would start by inserting the spline into the alternator, grab the alternator pulley with your left hand and just pulse it a couple times. And the part should come off quite easily.
All
and
right.
then you would install the new part simply by putting it on the shaft and rotating the part down until the spacer touches the front of the bearing in the alternator. Reverse the direction and pulse the wrench a few times and remove the adapter, and you're finished.
Wow, that's great. It looks like Leighton has got everything that we need to make this a quick, easy, and efficient repair. But is there anything else we need to think about when we undertake a project like this?
Yeah, when you actually remove the pulley, Jim, it's a good idea to look at the shaft and make sure there's no damage to the threads, that the threads are clean, maybe even brush the threads with a small wire brush just to remove any buildup of corrosion on the threads. Also, it's important to reset the decoupler device after it's been installed. So you put the tool back in and you take a 17mm wrench and rotate the shaft in the clockwise direction, just a couple of revolutions, and that resets the clutch inside of the decoupler so that the function is confirmed.
Well, that was easy. What's next?
So now, Jim, you need to put the dust cap back onto the part. So you would put that on by just snapping the cap into the front of the pulley.
Kind of like a dust cover then, right?
Yeah, exactly, Jim. The purpose of the cap is to keep the contaminants from getting inside of the pulley, as well as keeping the lubricant, the grease, inside of the decoupler for its longevity in the field.
Wow, that's great. It looks like Lightens has provided just everything we need to make this a quick, easy, and profitable repair.